Hello and welcome back to Euro Football Daily, where today we are covering 10 players who really need to perform this season. Let's get on with it. 10. Raja Nainggolan. The world of football was shocked when Roberto Martinez left 30-year-old Roma midfielder Raja Nainggolan out of his squad for the 2018 World Cup. He had had a stellar season, scoring 4 and assisting 9 in 31 Serie A appearances to help the club to a third-place finish. Coming just 19 days after he had scored a brace in their Champions League semi-final against Liverpool, the 30-capped Belgian was furious and he promptly retired from international football. To rub salt into the wound, he had to watch his country excel in Russia, vanquishing Brazil and top-scoring with 16 goals, on their way to their best-ever World Cup finish. Nainggolan then decided to bring to an end his 5-year association with the Giallorossi and join Inter Milan in a £33 million switch. The move sees Ninja reunited with Luciano Spalletti, who managed him for the 2016-17 season, during which he was involved in a goal every 0.4 games, as Roma finished just 4 points behind Juve in second. Having swapped Italy's third-place club for fourth, and with the World Cup anger still bubbling, expect a big season from the Ninja. 9. Ousmane Dembélé. When Philippe Lahm lifted the World Cup in July 2014, 17-year-old Ousmane Dembélé had yet to make a senior appearance. In the 4 years since, he's averaged a goal involvement every 0.6 league games in France, Germany and Spain. In the process, he's been named as Ligue 1 Young Player of the Year, included in the Bundesliga Team of the Season, won a DFB Pokal, Copa del Rey and La Liga, and of course, this summer's World Cup. To call the 21-year-old Frenchman's rise meteoric would therefore be a massive understatement. But it's fair to say that his €109 million move to Barcelona last summer, then the second most expensive transfer of all time, hasn't all been plain sailing. He injured his hamstring on his first league start against Getafe and was out for 4 months. Then, just a few games back into his comeback, he suffered another injury, ruling him out for 4 weeks. All in all, the 16-cap Frenchman missed 27 games last season through injury, but when he did play, he contributed a crazy 0.8 goals per 90 in La Liga. The arrival of Malcom heaped pressure on Dembélé, but so far he has responded, scoring 2 goals in just 3 La Liga appearances so far. More of that, Ousmane. 8. Ibrahim Amadou. Big things were expected of Sevilla at the start of the 17-18 season. After all, they had finished 4th the previous campaign and had spent €75 million on players such as Luis Muriel, Nolito and Iva Banega. But their season didn't quite work out as they hoped. Yes, they reached the final of the Copa del Rey and quarter-finals of the Champions League, but their league campaign was an all-out disaster. They went through 3 managers in 1 season and had some truly shocking results. A 4-0 defeat to Valencia, 5-0 battering by Real Madrid and a 5-1 thrashing by Eibar to name but 3. They conceded 58 goals in 38 games, 7 more than 17th place Leganés. This was the second most they have conceded in 1 league season this century. The man they earmarked to solve their defensive weaknesses was 25-year-old Frenchman Ibrahim Amadou, who is capable of playing at centre-back or defensive midfield. Last season he averaged a massive 88% pass completion with 74% of them going forward. Lacking a controlling midfield presence last term, the hierarchy will hope their €15 million man is the answer. 7. Fabián Ruiz. When Napoli brought in Fabián Ruiz for €30 million, the commonly held perception was that this was a replacement for the outgoing Jorginho. But whilst Jorginho is a game-controlling defensive midfielder who averaged 96.9 passes per game last season, the second highest in Serie A, the 22-year-old Spaniard is more of a number 10. Only 4 La Liga teams scored more than Betis' 60 league goals last season, and Ruiz was involved in a massive 15% of them. Whilst the former Spain under-21 international is more than comfortable putting his foot in, making 3.6 tackles and interceptions per 90, the most in the Betis squad, he also fires off 1.2 shots per 90, dwarfing Jorginho's 0.5. Despite taking 80% of his shots from outside the area, Ruiz gets a massive 68% of those on target. For context, Cristiano Ronaldo took 80% of his shots for Real Madrid from inside the area and managed to get 56% on target. It seems that new Napoli boss Carlo Ancelotti plans to play Hamsik deeper alongside Diawara in an attempt to free up Ruiz in front. Napoli fans wait with bated breath. 6. Patrick Schick. Patrick Schick was a revelation during the 16-17 season for Sampdoria. Signed for €4 million from Sparta Prague after just 9 goals in 38 senior games, he took Serie A by storm. He scored 13 goals in 35 games for the Blucheretti, impressing Juventus who tried to sign him, only for the 7-cap Czech to fail 2 separate medicals. After impressing at the under-21 Euros, he joined Roma, initially for €5 million. which the Giallorossi had an obligation to make permanent this summer for a further €9 million. But the young striker didn't quite take to Rome as he had to Genoa, seeing his league minutes nearly halved and ended up netting just 2 league goals in 22 appearances. Injuries did disrupt his rhythm, missing 13 games up until February, but when he did play, he was a shadow of his former self, with his shots, shot accuracy and dribbles completed all way down. Coming off the back of a full pre-season, Schick badly needs to ease the burden on 32-year-old Edin Dzeko, who scored 15 goals more than anyone else last campaign. 5. Alvaro Morata. Chelsea fans were delighted when they signed then 24-year-old striker Alvaro Morata for a club record £60 million last summer. He was a player who had already won 13 major trophies and represented 2 of the biggest clubs in the world. He had played a crucial role in Real's La Liga triumph that season, converting 27% of his shots, the highest of any player to score over 10 goals, and earning his side a massive 13 points, only topped by Ronaldo's 15. With Diego Costa jettisoned by Conte, Morata needed to hit the ground running, and he did, scoring in his first 6 starts and netting 10 by Boxing Day. These included the winner over United and a first Premier League hat-trick against Stoke. But then a series of injuries struck and Morata struggled to regain his form, forcing Conte to use Hazard as the sole focal point of his attack. The final nail in the coffin was being left on the bench until the 89th minute of Chelsea's dour 1-0 victory over United in the FA Cup final. Despite a goal involvement every 0.5 league games, Lopetegui left Morata out of his World Cup squad. He'll be seeking redemption this term. 4. Anthony Martial. Despite scoring 9 goals and assisting 5 in 17-18, it's clear that Jose Mourinho doesn't favour 22-year-old winger Anthony Martial. He was limited to just over 1,500 minutes of league action last campaign, far less than Lingard, Rashford and Mata, who all comfortably passed 1,700 minutes. Even Alexis Sanchez, signed in January, played just 580 fewer minutes than his contemporary, 7 years his junior. Since United made Martial the most expensive teenager in history after just 52 Ligue 1 games in August 2015, he has by and large delivered, with a goal involvement every 0.5 games across the 3 seasons. For context, Ryan Giggs, arguably one of the greatest Premier League wingers of all time, averaged a goal contribution every 0.4 games. It's clear that Mourinho has issues with Martial's attitude, consistency and defensive contributions. And he isn't helped by the fact that Alexis Sanchez was averaging 1.8 tackles per game for United last season, the same as Antonio Valencia. But surely, under the right manager, Martial can excel. Whether he stays or leaves, Martial needs to perform. 3. Malcom. With only the medical pending and Roma fans waiting at the airport, Barcelona managed to complete the hijacking of the summer, tempting 21-year-old Bordeaux winger Malcom to instead join them. The move, which has left Roma sporting director Monchi furious and threatening legal action, heaps pressure on the young, inexperienced forward who has only made 96 appearances since his transfer for Corinthians in January 2016. The 21-year-old did have a stellar 17-18 though, contributing 19 Ligue 1 goals in 35 appearances. He was also 5th for key passes and 9th for dribbles completed in France's Premier Division last campaign. Malcom's main asset is his long-range shooting, with 66% of his efforts coming from outside the area last term. But yet he still manages to maintain a 55% accuracy. The pressure is certainly on the Brazilian after his controversial transfer, and he will certainly need to deliver if he wants to displace one of Messi, Suarez or Dembélé. Game on. 2. Jack Wilshere. Jack Wilshere's CV is pretty impressive. Arsenal's youngest ever league debutant at 16, starring against Barcelona at age 19, a PFA Team of the Year inclusion and 34 England caps. But it's also a case of what might have been. Injury has seen him miss a massive 155 Arsenal games, meaning he has still only made 166 Premier League appearances. For context, Raheem Sterling, who is 3 years younger, has played in 26 more league games. Those unrelenting injury issues have ensured that Wilshere has played more than 20 Premier League games on 5 occasions out of a possible 12. The academy graduate was deemed surplus to requirements when Unai Emery took over, and he joined West Ham on a free transfer. Despite starting just 12 league games last campaign, he played well, contributing 4 goals and completing 2.3 dribbles per game, the most in the Arsenal squad. With Obiang injury-prone and Mark Noble 31, West Ham desperately need Wilshere to stay fit and replicate that form. With the scrutiny on Wilshere, we feel it's now or never for the player to re-establish himself as one of England's best. 1. Gareth Bale. Cristiano Ronaldo's €112 million transfer to Juventus means one thing. That, after scoring 36% of Los Blancos' league goals since his arrival in 2009, their other forwards need to step up. But with Benzema turning 31 in December and seemingly in terminal decline, with his goal output dropping from 28 to 19 and last season 12, and Lucas Vazquez, Isco and Asensio nowhere near ready to step up to the plate, the 18-19 season is a big one for Gareth Bale. Despite his well-documented injury woes, Bale has still averaged a goal every 0.5 games over the last 5 years since his transfer from Spurs. His future though looked bleak under Zidane. He started only one of their 7 knockout ties in last season's Champions League, the second leg of the quarter-final against Juventus, which saw Bale hold off at half-time. But brought on in the 61st minute of their final against Liverpool, with the opposition in the ascendancy having equalised through Sadio Mane 6 minutes earlier, Bale changed the game. 2 goals, one arguably the greatest in Champions League history, reignited his Real Madrid career. With Los Blancos having struggled to land their major targets, Bale has never been more important to the club. And so far, so good. He's got 3 goals and an assist in just 3 La Liga games. So that was 10 players who need massive seasons this campaign. What did you guys think of the list? Did we miss any out? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're here, why don't you go check out all the other great content here on EFD. Stat Wars, Continental Club, Kieran's comment show, the lot, it's all good. And as ever, don't forget to like and subscribe.